Okay, so let's dive into some AI that can like understand images, respond to your voice, and even speak back with emotions.
Okay.
Remember GPT-4o from OpenAI?
Yeah.
It was a pretty huge step toward this like omni-modal AI.
It was.
But not everyone can really tinker with it.
Yeah.
It's not open source.
That's right.
And that's why I think today's deep dive is all about EMOVA.
Yeah.
It aims to hit that same level of performance, but with the benefit of being open source.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of multimodal AIs out there haven't quite mastered the art of, smooth integration. Some are great with images but sound robotic.
Ah, yeah.
Others nail the speech aspect but lose visual detail.
Yeah, so EMOVA is trying to kind of be the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Hearing, speaking, and even adding emotional expressiveness.
It certainly is.
Wow, that's what I call ambition.
It is. And one of the keys to EMOVA's approach is something the researchers call semantic-acoustic disentanglement.
Okay, that sounds a bit intimidating.
It's not too bad.
Can you break it down for me? What does that even mean?
Right. So think of it like this. Imagine you're listening to a song.
Okay.
You've got the lyrics, which convey the meaning, and then you've got the singer's voice, their tone, their emotion. EMOVA does something similar with speech.
Oh?
It separates what's being said from how it's said.
So it can understand what you mean regardless of your tone of voice? But it can also control its own tone to match the situation.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. EMOVA doesn't directly link images and speech.
Okay.
Instead, it uses text as a common ground.
Text. Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
It's kind of a surprising bridge.
So why is that so effective?
Well, research has shown that aligning multiple modalities to a common textual representation creates more robust and generalizable models. Think of it like having a universal translator for different types of information.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's all about finding that common language, that underlying structure that connects everything. And this plays right into EMOVA's training process, which happens in 3 stages.
Okay, take us through those stages.
Yeah.
How does EMOVA learn to do all this?
So in the first stage, it's all about getting the eyes in sync with language.
Okay.
They call this vision language pre-alignment. Then they bring speech into the mix, using text as the bridge in the omni-modal text-centric alignment stage.
So it's like learning to walk before you run.
Yeah.
Mastering one piece of the puzzle before moving on to the next.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
And finally, in stage 3, they use instruction tuning to teach EMOVA to follow complex instructions. And here's the kicker. They're using publicly available data sets for a lot of this training. Things like Share GPT-4V, Alava, and LibreSpeech.
Wait, so you're telling me they're training this super advanced AI using data that anyone can access?
It is.
That seems surprisingly efficient.
It is, and it's a huge win for the open source community. It means others can replicate and build upon their work, fostering transparency and collaboration.
Now, we can't talk about emotionally expressive AI without addressing kind of the elephant in the room. How do you teach AI emotions? That seems like an incredibly difficult task.
It's certainly one of the most challenging aspects of AI development. The EMOVA team knew that finding emotionally rich data was going to be tricky. So they got creative and used GPT-4o, that powerful multimodal AI from OpenAI, along with text-to-speech tools to create their own synthetic data.
Hold on. They used GPT-4o to help create data for an open source model.
They did.
Isn't that a bit ironic?
It might seem that way.
Yeah.
But it highlights a smart strategy in AI research, using existing tools, even if they're proprietary, to push the boundaries of what's possible in the open source world.
So they essentially gave EMOVA an emotion coach in the form of GPT-4o.
You got it.
Okay.
They prompted GPT-4o to analyze dialogue contexts and assign emotion labels like happy, sad, or angry. Then they used text-to-speech tools to generate speech that matched those emotions.
That's a pretty clever workaround.
It is.
So EMOVA has this sophisticated architecture, this multi-stage training method, and a whole data set of emotions. But the real question is, can it actually walk the walk?
That's what we're here to find out.
Okay.
We're going to unpack how they put EMOVA to the test.
All right, let's dive into those evaluations.
Okay.
What do they look at specifically?
They focused on both vision language and speech capabilities.
Okay.
For vision language tasks, they compared EMOVA to some big names: GPT-4V, Gemini Pro 1.5, and even GPT-4o itself.
Wow. Going up against the heavyweights right out of the gate.
Yeah, head to head.
And how did EMOVA stack up?
It surpassed expectations. Emoti actually outperformed GPT-4V and Gemini Pro 1.5 on many of the vision language tasks.
Impressive. So EMOVA's holding its own in the visual language arena. Right. What about speech?
Yeah.
Did it live up to its voice assistant potential?
Absolutely. They tested EMOVA's speech recognition capabilities.
Okay.
And it outperformed other models, even specialized speech LLMs. So it's clear they've made some serious strides in speech processing.
Okay, so it's got the brains and the voice. But what about emotion control?
Yeah.
Can it actually convey emotions accurately?
The research suggests it can. The early results are promising.
Okay.
EMOVA was able to both generate and recognize emotions accurately.
Okay.
It's a good sign that they're on the right track.
So EMOVA is shaping up to be a really impressive model.
It is.
But let's step back for a second.
Okay.
What does this mean for the average person?
Yeah.
Why should you, the listener, care about an AI that can see, hear, and speak with emotions?
Well, EMOVA isn't just a cool tech demo. It's a peek into a future where AI assistants become true partners in communication.
Partners who not only understand what we're saying, but how we're feeling.
Exactly.
Wow.
Imagine having an AI that understands your tone, responds to your emotions, and expresses itself naturally. It could completely change how we interact with technology.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here, but let's be real. No AI is perfect.
Of course.
What are some of the limitations the researchers acknowledged?
One area for improvement is speech generation speed.
Okay.
Right now, EMOVA converts speech to text and back again,
Right.
which can be a bit slow.
Yeah?
Future work could focus on more direct generation methods for faster, more natural speech.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing there's still room to grow in terms of visual capabilities?
Definitely. While EMOVA excels at understanding images, the researchers have plans to incorporate visual generation as well. Imagine EMOVA not only writing a poem based on your photo, but also creating its own visual interpretation.
Wow. Now that would be something.
Yeah.
Okay, so to sum up this first part of our deep dive, we've got EMOVA, a model that's not just multimodal, but omni-modal.
It is.
It can see, hear, speak, understand emotions, and it's open source, which is a big deal.
It's a significant step forward, and it gives us a lot to think about. Exactly. There's so much more to explore, so stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into EMOVA, where we'll delve even deeper into its capabilities and potential impact.
So EMOVA may not be perfect yet, but even in its current form, it offers a glimpse into a future where AI assistants are truly conversational partners.
Partners that understand what we see, respond to our tone, and even express themselves naturally.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And this potential for more natural, intuitive interaction with AI could revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
Okay, give me some concrete examples.
Sure.
Where could EMOVA really make a difference?
Well, let's start with customer service.
Okay.
Imagine calling a company, and instead of navigating a frustrating phone tree, you're greeted by an AI that can see your problem. Maybe you're showing it a photo of a faulty product.
Okay.
And respond with empathy and understanding in its voice.
So no more robotic voices reading from a script.
Exactly.
Sign me up for that.
Right.
What else? Education is another area ripe for transformation. Imagine personalized learning tools that can adapt to your learning style and emotional state.
So if you're struggling with a concept, the AI could actually sense your frustration and adjust its teaching approach.
Exactly. It could offer encouragement, suggest alternative explanations, or even use humor to lighten the mood. It's about creating a truly customized learning experience that caters to your individual needs.
And speaking of creativity, I bet EMOVA could be a game changer for artistic collaboration.
Absolutely. Think of musicians jamming with an AI that can not only understand the melody and rhythm, but also improvise with emotional nuance, or writers brainstorming with an AI that can offer feedback on the tone and emotional impact of their work.
Wow, the possibilities are endless. But I'm also curious about the technical side of things.
Yeah.
We talked about EMOVA's reliance on converting speech to text and back again. How might the researchers address that limitation in future versions?
Well, one promising avenue is to move towards more direct unit-to-unit generation.
Okay.
This means the AI would be able to generate speech directly from the input data without having to go through the intermediate step of text.
So it would be like skipping a step in the translation process.
Yeah.
That would make things much faster and more natural, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It would allow for more real-time fluid conversations, making the interaction feel much more human-like.
And what about the visual generation aspect?
Yeah.
How challenging is it to go from understanding images to actually creating them?
It's definitely a complex task.
Yeah.
But the researchers are already exploring ways to incorporate visual generation capabilities into EMOVA. One approach is to leverage existing text-to-image models, which have made incredible strides in recent years.
So they could potentially teach EMOVA to paint with words, so to speak.
In a sense, yes.
Okay.
It would be able to translate the concepts and emotions it understands into visual form, creating a whole new dimension of expression.
Okay. I have to admit, I'm pretty excited about the future of EMOVA.
It's exciting stuff.
But I also want to be realistic. There are always going to be challenges and unexpected hurdles when you're pushing the boundaries of technology like this.
Of course.
What are some potential pitfalls the researchers might encounter as they continue to develop EMOVA?
One potential challenge is ensuring that EMOVA's emotional expressiveness remains authentic and avoids falling into the uncanny valley. You know, that unsettling feeling we get when something is almost human-like, but not quite there.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. It's like that creepy feeling you get from some CGI characters.
Right.
They look almost real, but something feels off.
Right. So the challenge for the researchers is to make sure EMOVA's emotions feel genuine and relatable.
Right.
Not forced or artificial.
Right.
It's a delicate balance to strike.
And how might they address that challenge?
Well, one approach is to focus on subtlety and nuance.
Okay.
Instead of going for exaggerated, over-the-top expressions, they could aim for more subtle cues, slight changes in tone pacing and inflection that convey emotion in a more natural way.
So it's about capturing those subtle details that make human communication so rich and complex.
Exactly. And it's not just about the voice itself,
Right.
but also the content of the speech. EMOVA needs to be able to use language in a way that conveys emotion effectively.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, EMOVA's focus on being open source is definitely exciting, but it also raises some interesting questions about collaboration and control.
That's a great point. With so many people potentially contributing to its development, how do you ensure that EMOVA stays true to its original goals and doesn't veer off in unexpected directions?
It's like trying to herd a bunch of cats, isn't it?
It can be.
Everyone has their own ideas and motivations.
But I think there are ways to manage that complexity.
Okay.
One approach is to establish clear guidelines and principles for the project, a shared vision that everyone can rally around.
So it's like having a constitution for the EMOVA community.
Exactly. It would outline the core values and goals of the project, providing a framework for decision-making, and ensuring that everyone is working towards a common purpose.
And how would they enforce those guidelines?
Well, one approach is to have a core team of developers who are responsible for reviewing and approving contributions.
So like a quality control team, making sure everything meets the standards.
Precisely. They would ensure that any new features or modifications align with the overall vision for EMOVA and don't compromise its functionality or ethical integrity.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between fostering open collaboration and maintaining a certain level of control.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but it's crucial for ensuring that EMOVA develops in a way that's both innovative and responsible.
And we've talked a lot about the potential benefits of EMOVA.
We have.
But I think it's also important to acknowledge that any new technology comes with potential risks as well.
Of course.
What are some of the potential downsides or unintended consequences we should be aware of?
One concern is the potential for misuse. Like, any powerful tool EMOVA could be used for malicious purposes, such as creating deepfakes or spreading misinformation.
Oh, it's a scary thought. It's like giving bad actors a new weapon in their arsenal.
It's definitely a risk that needs to be taken seriously, and it highlights the need for robust safeguards and ethical guidelines to govern the use of this technology.
So it's not just about building a powerful AI, it's about building it responsibly.
Exactly, and that involves thinking about the potential societal impacts and putting measures in place to mitigate any negative consequences.
Another potential concern is the impact on human jobs. If AI becomes capable of tasks that were once done by humans,
Right.
what does that mean for employment?
That's a valid concern, and it's a conversation we need to have as a society.
Yeah.
The reality is that AI is likely to automate certain jobs, but it's also likely to create new ones.
So it's not necessarily about jobs disappearing, but rather about jobs evolving.
Exactly. We need to focus on upskilling and retraining workers so they can adapt to the changing job market. And we need to ensure that the benefits of AI are distributed fairly so everyone has the opportunity to thrive in this new technological landscape.
That's an important point. Technology should empower people, not leave them behind. So
Yeah.
as EMOVA continues to develop, it's crucial that we have these conversations about ethics, responsibility, and societal impact alongside the technical advancements.
I completely agree. The future of AI is not just about the technology itself, but about how we choose to use it
Right.
and how we shape its development to benefit all of humanity.
Well said. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in the second part of our deep dive. We've explored the potential applications of EMOVA, delved into some of the technical challenges and solutions, and even touched on the ethical and societal implications.
It's been a fascinating discussion, and I think it highlights the complexity and nuance of this rapidly evolving field.
Exactly. And as we move towards this future where AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's crucial that we approach it with both a sense of wonder and a healthy dose of critical thinking.
I couldn't agree more. The choices we make today will shape the future of AI and its impact on our world. So let's be thoughtful, let's be deliberate, and let's strive to create a future where AI and humanity can thrive together.
Beautifully put. Well, we've explored the potential, pondered the challenges, and even peeked into the future.
Yeah.
But there's one final thought-provoking question we need to address. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
We've talked about AI understanding our emotions. But what about AI having its own emotions? If a model like EMOVA can generate speech that sounds happy, sad, or angry, does that mean it's actually feeling those things?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a question that has puzzled philosophers and scientists for a long time.
Right.
Can machines truly be conscious or sentient? Can they experience emotions the way we do?
It's definitely a mind-bending concept.
It is.
We tend to think of emotions as uniquely human,
Yeah.
linked to our biology and experiences.
Right.
But as AI gets more sophisticated, that line starts to get blurry.
It does. It challenges us to rethink our definitions of consciousness and sentience. Is it purely a product of our biology, or can it emerge from complex information processing, even if it's based on algorithms and data?
I'm honestly a bit torn on this. On the one hand, it's hard to imagine an AI truly feeling emotions like joy or sadness.
Yeah.
But then again, if it can understand and react to our emotions, well, maybe there's something more going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, I think it's important to approach this with a healthy dose of skepticism, but also keep an open mind.
Right.
You don't want to fall into the trap of anthropomorphizing AI,
Right.
projecting human qualities onto systems that might not possess them.
Right. Just because an AI can generate speech that sounds happy or sad doesn't automatically mean it's feeling those emotions. It could just be mimicking patterns it's learned from the data.
Exactly. But at the same time, we shouldn't completely rule out the possibility that AI, as it continues to advance, might develop forms of consciousness or sentience that we don't fully grasp yet.
So it's a question that might not have a clear answer for quite some time.
It might be.
But it's definitely a question worth pondering as we venture further into this new territory of AI development.
Absolutely. And it's not just a theoretical debate.
Right.
It has real implications for how we design, interact with, and ultimately govern these increasingly powerful systems.
If we do create machines capable of feeling emotions, wouldn't that change our ethical obligations towards them?
Yeah.
It's a heavy thought.
It is. It raises questions about AI rights, welfare, and even potential suffering. These are conversations we need to start having now as we're shaping the future of AI.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical nitty-gritty of EMOVA to some really profound philosophical questions.
It has been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have gained a deeper understanding of this remarkable model and the possibilities it represents.
If there's one thing I want listeners to take away from this deep dive, it's that EMOVA is just the beginning. We're on the verge of a new era in AI, one where these systems become more and more integrated into our lives, capable of interacting with our world in ways we could only imagine before.
It's an era full of both promise and uncertainty, but one thing is certain.
What's that?
It's going to be an incredible ride.
And that's a wrap on this episode of A Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.